Welcome friends to another video. Welcome to another list. This time around, it's actually a classification, if you want, of 5 fragrances from the house of Etat Libre d'Orange. This is a very unique, very interesting niche house that came to the market in 2006, and it is dedicated, if you want, to sexuality, to erotism, and let's say to very, very interesting ad campaigns. Let's start with my number 5 in this rating of Etat Libre d'Orange fragrances that I own. And on the 5th position comes Tom of Finland, which is quite an interesting fragrance, if you ask me, with a very interesting composition at the same time. And as the name implies, this is basically an ode to a Scandinavian artist called Tom of Finland, who dedicated his life to male sexuality, to male erotism, if you want. And also the packaging of this fragrance comes with some very, very specific, let's say, pictograms inside. The composition is composed out of aldehydes and Amalfi lemon, but these are not the main ingredients of the fragrance because you have birch, pine tree, cypress, pepper, geranium, and galbanum. And you also get suede, vanilla, tonka bean, iris, styrex, musk, vetiver, and ambergris. Curious enough, this to me is a leathery sort of fragrance, a lot of woods also, and with a very, very interesting styrex and vetiver note inside the composition. But the suede inside, or if you want, the leather accord found inside is very dominant on my skin throughout the life of this fragrance. Therefore, this for me is a leathery type of fragrance. It smells great, but it also has a very good performance in terms of longevity on the skin, projection, and also sillage. I would see this one being worn mostly on cooler days, specifically in spring, fall, and winter time. And it's quite versatile and flexible when it comes to what type of scenarios to dress it up. So Tom of Finland is my 5th favorite fragrance in my collection and in this list of rating fragrances from this house. Next one up is a very interesting fragrance and again a very interesting ad campaign from the house, and it's called I Am Trash. This is made by GaVo and it's made entirely out of let's say synthetic ingredients, made out of synthetic notes, but at the same time, although it's made out of these aroma chemicals, it smells very natural to me. And it is one of the most, if not the most interesting apple accord I ever smelled in a fragrance. But also combined with rose and also combined with ISO-E Super, and you also get some Akigala wood, you also get some cedar atlas. So this one is a very fresh fragrance and it's made specifically if you want for warmer weather or for hot weather. And I find it great, especially in late spring, throughout summertime and early fall. But I've worn this one also in wintertime and I had no issues with the scent or with its performance. And speaking about the performance, this is also a great performer, at least on my skin. Though the projection isn't as beastly as other fragrances from this house, but you do get a very, very good longevity and a very good sillage. But as I said, this is a fragrance centered around the apple and rose combo, which smells simply gorgeous. Very natural, although it's made out of aroma chemicals. Very uplifting, very bright, very sunny would be the proper word to describe this fragrance. And the name, I Am Trash, comes from the fact that all the ingredients in this composition, mainly the apple and the rose, is obtained by basically trash, by thrown apples, rotten apples to the garbage, and also roses. So Givaudan takes these ingredients, extracts the essential oils from the decomposing apples and roses, and then turns it into this beautiful creation called I Am Trash. Very nice fragrance, especially for summertime. On my 3rd position comes a fragrance that I named Happiness in a Bottle, and it's called Remarkable People. All of these fragrances are in my collection for a long time already, so I had a lot of time at my disposal to wear them, to test them, to see how they perform, to see how they smell, if they suffer any modifications throughout time. And Remarkable People is a very linear fragrance from start till end, and it smells like champagne. It does feature a champagne accord inside the composition, but it basically smells like kids' champagne. It smells like the taste of kids' champagne, however that may sound and come to you. It's simply beautiful. It's uplifting, it's fizzy, just like champagne. It's bubbly, if you want, at the same time. It's very bright, it's very elegant, and it simply puts a smile on your face every single time you wear this fragrance, or at least when I wear this fragrance. And this is, again, a fragrance made specifically for hot weather. I've worn this one in wintertime. I wasn't very satisfied with the performance, with the longevity and the projection and the sillage of Remarkable People, but this is due to the low temperatures, so I'm eagerly awaiting for late spring and especially for summertime to properly wear Remarkable People. This is a very good fragrance for, let's say, enclosed environments, for offices. It's a very good fragrance for, let's say, spare time when you go out with your friends to a pub and whatnot. It's a very good fragrance for formal occasions when you gather with the family and friends and party and whatnot. This is a beautiful, very beautiful actually, fragrance if you love happy, uplifting, playful, and fizzy fragrances. Remarkable People, the scent of champagne, champagne in a bottle that you can actually, if I'm thinking at this point, it does feel like when you throw a glass of champagne on your shirt when you are at a wedding and it dries down. And then you sniff that shirt a couple of hours later. This is actually how it smells, Remarkable People. Very, very beautiful fragrance. I'm eagerly waiting for summertime to actually see how it behaves when it comes to longevity and especially projection. Let's go to my second favorite, and this will definitely lift up some eyebrows because it's this one, this bad boy called Secrecy Magnifique. Yeah, actually, this should have been my number one from this house because I truly love and appreciate this fragrance. I don't have any problem with Secrecy Magnifique. I find it to be one of the most interesting and artistic fragrances ever released. The level of artistry involved in this creation, and the name behind the fragrance is Antoine Lee, a very renowned perfumer, is simply amazing. This throws a lot of people off, mainly because of the composition, because you have adrenaline, you have blood, you have sweat, you have spit, you have semen in the composition, but you also have sandalwood, you also have iris. Therefore, I don't really get what the problem is with this type of folks that disconsider a fragrance solely based on the description of the composition. To me, this one is a very beautiful fragrance. Lately, I've noticed that it has a hint of aquatic fragrance on my skin, but the performance is simply amazing. The longevity is spectacular, the projection is huge, and the sillage the same. This isn't for everyone. This isn't everyone's cup of tea. You need to be a very well experienced and mature nose in order to appreciate the creation of Antoine Lee and Etat Libre d'Orange. You need to appreciate this type of artistry in fragrances, and this is actually a very good, if you want, image for what niche fragrances should actually be like. Because this is how true niche actually looks like. It's very provocative, it's very, let's say, sensual at the same time, but in a very erotic way, because you can actually think about the sexual act when sniffing this fragrance and paying attention actually to the composition. It's going to remind you actually about having sex with all the sweatiness, with all the blood rushing through your veins, and so on and so forth. You get the point. I really like it. I don't know why people dismiss it so much. I actually believe that people don't really give it time. You need to leave fragrances to macerate, and especially niche fragrances, because they suffer a lot of transformations throughout time. And all the bad reviews that this fragrance gets are actually coming from people who don't really wear the fragrance in order to portray the real feeling that Secrecy Magnifique is managing to provide to the user. My number two in this list. And my favorite one from this house in general. And my number one in this list is this one, as I said it so many times in other videos, You or Someone Like You. One of the most unique and beautiful freshes out there on the market. And although I'm not a big fan of minting fragrances, this has to be my top minty fragrance. Because You or Someone Like You simply is outstanding. Mostly because it also provides a performance that's simply outstanding. At least on my skin, I get very, very good longevity with very good projection and very good sillage every single time that I wear You or Someone Like You. The composition is very interesting also because you have mint, but you get grapefruit, you get bergamot and anise. And the secret ingredient in this composition for me is the anise. You also have green notes, cassis, rose, and hedion, and you also get white musk. So the overall feeling of the fragrance is of a very minty, zingy, fresh, soury at the same time, aromatic, musky concoction. The musks are very present in You or Someone Like You. The mint is very well interpreted. It's very natural, actually. It feels quite natural, but you get a very beautiful soury and zesty grapefruit note combined with bergamot and the anise that basically comes and locks down into position, if you want, all the ingredients in this composition. Very beautiful, very uplifting, very elegant. Again, a fragrance for warmer and hotter days, but excellent also in wintertime. In temperatures below zero, for example, because I wore it this way, and it's simply outstanding. The scent and also the performance. This is one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, and I wear it every single time, and I enjoy wearing it every single time. It's quite unique when it comes to the interpretation of mint, especially. I also have Colonia Club from Acqua di Parma, which I also like. And you also get some mintiness in Galloway from Parfum de Marly, but this one is simply on a different level. That's why this is my favorite fragrance from the entire house of Etat Libre d'Orange. These are actually my top 5 picks from this house. There are a couple of fragrances that I will add also in the near future to my collection, about 3 of them from their whole lineup, which I also like. And basically, I will complete my Etat Libre d'Orange, let's say, mini collection. For what it is, these are 5 fragrances that I highly recommend, especially this one. If you really are into niche fragrances and into artistic creations, high quality juice and ingredients, every single one of them gets a huge recommendation from where I stand. But as always, my friends, you don't need to trust me. You don't need to believe me and what I say in my videos. You need to go out and test them for yourself. You need to first buy small quantities, samples or decants. Wear those a couple of times on your skin. See how it performs on your skin. See how it interacts with your skin's chemistry. And only afterwards, based on your own conclusions, go ahead and decide if you want to purchase the full bottle or not. The money is yours. The decision to acquire or not is also yours. The only thing that I can do in my videos is to provide you with some information which is rather personal, based on my own experience with this type of products. Always keep this in mind. When I talk about fragrances and everything else on my channel, I always talk from my own personal experience as a consumer, as a buyer, as a collector, as a long-term user, and the sole purpose for me is to provide you with some useful information. That's it. But the acquisition process is something that isn't depending on me, it's solely on you. So go ahead, test them out, try them. If you find yourself loving them, then go ahead and purchase them if you necessarily need to have them. I'm going to stop here. As always, my friends, thank you for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one. Let me wish you all the best, and remember, be safe, be good, smell good, feel good. Peace.